I can hear you, but I can't see you. Um. Oh yeah. Okay. Hi. Hi. Are you really from Instagram? Unreal. Unreal. That's really nice of you to get. I mean, to follow up in a personal way like this. Somebody told me about the. That if I'm, let me just get this. I got two of them, but I'm much more comfortable with just one. Um, yeah, I can hear you fine. Thanks. So I'm Rick. I knew your name would be Jerry. I don't even ask me how. I knew your name would be Jerry. Yeah. Hi, Jerry. I really appreciate you contacting me this way. This is not something. I brought the offending cover, or the offending book. This is the cover of the offending book, or the offending cover of the book. Anyway, this is what was offensive. And yeah, I mocked Instagram a little bit for saying that it violated community standards. It's pretty funny because we're publishing. Oh, um, my name is Rick Harsch. I'm an author. I'm the author of The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas, Arjuna and the Good Snake, Voices After Evelyn, Walk Like a Duck, a season of Little League Baseball, and Italy, Skulls of Istria, a lot of novels, and I yeah, we're talking about me as a publisher, but it started with me needing to save a couple of my books from a publisher that was going broke and not actually, you know. Well, anyway, I needed to get the books published to because they they were scheduled to be published for the fifth time, and it was going to go south. So I used my contacts here in Slovenia and to get them printed because there were some reviews coming out, and I was going to be selling them. Yeah, and I called it Corona Samizdat because the main, the first two books, especially The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas, I want to sell it in the United States, therefore it can't be published there. And so in the book itself, it says not for sale in the United States. Yeah. Well, and so anyway, that led to me, I thought, well, wait a minute, I can, you know, publish some other people too. And so I started a press, and I called it Corona Samizdat because Corona is devastating your part of the world more than any other place, and except for India, I guess, and I'll sell cheap to India as well. So Corona suggests that everything's going to be a little cheaper, and Samizdat, you know, to there will be people in the country who want my book, and even though it's not published there or technically for sale there, uh, what am I going to do? Anyway, but I ran into trouble with you because I'm going to be publishing three books by a man named Chandler Brassard. And uh, actually, the first book by him, which will be out probably this week, will have the most daring material, you might say. I don't know. It's not daring. It's just a free and open satirical anti-war um, material, which is what is in the book. And well, his writing varies. I mean, but okay. In this one, it's called "Raging Joys, Sublime Violations," and I really don't know how to categorize the writing, but let me just make something up right now to please you. I would call the writing advanced literary cartoonery. It is wild and uh, I think the word Stephen Moore used was raunchy because he didn't want to use the word obscene, probably, because it would be called obscene, but it is not obscene. This is called obscene by you guys, because it's tits, two tits on a book. It's an old nudie photo that Chandler Broussard himself wanted on this book, and because the picture, he said, represents the idea of one of the main characters in the book, and so there was a literary reason for it. And I imagine, in the 1970s, early 80s, a grown writer, 60 years old or so, probably had not the slightest thought that he was violating a community standard anywhere on earth, except a nunnery. I mean, monks would go wild, I know, but that's monks. But yeah, in a nunnery, maybe you don't put the nudie, but nuns. I guarantee, a wet nun, a showering nun, sees her own tits. So, what is obscene here? And in context of what I really want to talk about is in context, because if you think this is obscene, wait till you see Raging Joy's Sublime Violations. That will really be considered obscene. Wouldn't be allowed on CBS, but your Instagram, you're worldwide, and basically, if I see this and I don't like it, I just scroll down. You're not hurting anybody by printing this, and if you want to talk about hurting people, well, we're talking about an anti-Vietnam War book that's going to have much more of what you would consider violating community standards on the cover of that book. But when you talk about violating community standards, you have to think about what is your definition of community. You have global community as a concept, and you have little communities, and in the Vietnam War, what the United States did is they violated a nation of communities, and any sane person's sense of community by murdering needlessly anywhere from 2 to 3 million people for no good reason. I don't know. I'm Jerry. You're kind of young. You may not understand what happened in that war. So let me give you a very, very, very brief history. It was a colony. Vietnam was a colony of the French, and during the war, World War II was divided into different protectorates. At different times, and it was artificially divided. And the French wanted to keep their colony, so Ho Chi Minh and the Vietnamese fought and beat the French in 1954, and they won their country back. But they had been separated for so long in terms of administration and so on. A peaceful transition was to take place, and at the Geneva Convention of 1954 summer, they decided to have an election and to unify the country. But everybody knew that Ho Chi Minh was going to win the election. The intelligence community, if you can call them that, in the United States said up to 80% of the vote would go for Ho Chi Minh. Because this guy was a peaceful man in general, but a good strategist, and he wanted his country back. And so he was beloved of his people all over the country, not just the north, the south, everywhere but the mountains where the heroin was. And even that, when it came to really exploiting the heroin and the people who grew the heroin, the Corsicans did it to some degree, but then they were pushed out by the CIA and the Saigon military, and that heroin was used to fund a lot of the war. So yeah, yes, yeah. But I know. Okay, to get back to the point, though, what are you calling obscene? I think that if Chandler Broussard were here, he'd think it was extremely amusing that anybody would call this obscene. The whole idea of nudity being obscene is pretty weird, because I think stick with me here. I got a thesis has just come to mind. I think that oh, you disappeared. You're back. Okay, everything's fine. The uh, the idea. See, the problem with the nudity is that everybody's got it. Now, I don't have tits of the female order, you know, but my wife does, and I see them all the time. I mean, a lot, often. Not just during sexual things, but like if we're both in the bathroom at the same time, we're in a hurry, we're going somewhere, she'll change shirts, change bras, whatever, and I'll see them. And my own penis, I have one, you have one. Okay, you're nodding. All right. Sorry, just joking. Um, the penis we see every day. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time with it every day, but you know, all people have nudity. It's part of their human condition. It's called skin, in one sense. But the main thing that I want to the case I want to make is that your argument for removing such things is akin to arguing against reproduction. Because the only way that to prevent us from looking at penises, vaginas, anuses, labia, I mean, you know, to name one of my favorite parts, could I, could you, nipples, breasts, is to remove them. And so you're basically the call to remove this is the call to remove it all. And that means there's no reproduction and the species can no longer reproduce and all the animals are happy except for the humans. And I agree with you. I don't agree with your methods, but I agree that humans should just remove themselves from the planet for the good of the planet. I don't think reform is any longer possible. So if that is your argument, I agree with you, but that isn't your argument, is it? No, okay, so if one person complains, yeah, okay, I get it. But now you have my point of view, and you will be seeing covers that are more, in your words, in violation of the community standards than this, and you're going to have to make decisions. So thanks for contacting me. Appreciate the good faith effort. Anybody else? Oh, I got it on. I'm recording this to the side. Yeah, they're making a good faith effort